It's the real-life drama that's rocking Hollywood.
We all have an idea of what love can be.
I want to see you again.
Now you see me.
A hot movie
That first kiss.
based on a beloved bestseller starring one of America's most beautiful actresses who happens to be married to Hollywood's Mr. Nice Guy, and BFFs with America's ultimate sweetheart, Taylor Swift. What could go wrong? Turns out, a lot.
This is not he said, she said. This is not black and white. This is the grayest case I have ever seen.
It Ends With Us should have marked Blake Lively's triumphant comeback to the screen after putting her career on hold for several years to have children. The film was also the big league debut of actor, director, producer Justin Baldoni. For best-selling author Colleen Hoover, this would have been the first film adaptation of her significant literary empire. The film ends up making more than $350 million worldwide, all but guaranteeing a sequel should be in the works. Instead,
this could arguably be one of the most convoluted cases I have seen in quite some time.
But 15 seconds. That's all it takes to completely change everything.
the movie has been marred with vicious infighting, accusations of sexual harassment, pornography, fat shaming, a ballooning budget, accusations of manipulation and gaslighting, and a high-stakes court battle worth $650 million. So far, there are 6 lawsuits tied to the film, and there could be more lawsuits that most people in Hollywood hope never see the light of day.
I don't think that the Hollywood machine has enjoyed this.
I don't think anybody, particularly a Ryan Reynolds or a Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni, Disney, Bob Iger, anybody wants any of this information in front of a jury.
Oh my goodness. If hot mess is still a thing, it's a hot mess.
But what really happened? Is this a case of sexual harassment and retaliation, or a masterful manipulation by a Hollywood starlet to wrest control of a film from a first-time director? Lively claims Justin Baldoni and his producing partner, Jamie Heath, crossed several lines in the making of this movie. Baldoni says Blake Lively was a bullying brat who used her husband and powerful friends to take over his film.
There's only 2 people who know for sure what really happened.
To really understand what went wrong, we need to understand the players of this made-in-Hollywood drama. Let's start with Blake Lively. Lively is an actress first introduced to audiences as Bridget, the vulnerable yet self-destructive bestie in the 2005 film The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. But it was her portrayal of It Girl Serena Vanderwoodson in the hit TV series Gossip Girl for 6 seasons that cemented Lively as a bankable Hollywood star.
You only have to look at Gossip Girl, you know, this is a million years ago, almost before the internet, 20 years ago or something, and people were talking about how she didn't get on with her co-stars. People were saying that she had got Armie Hammer fired from his role on the show.
Lively went on to score roles in several films, including The Town and The Age of Adeline. It was on the set of the 2011 film The Green Lantern that Lively met Hollywood megastar and business entrepreneur Ryan Reynolds, and the two married a year later.
Why did everyone kind of love them?
So firstly, you have 2 people who are quite well known. When they get together as a couple, that becomes much bigger than the sum of the parts. And they're both very good looking, and they're both pretty successful. And he has got the nicest nice guy reputation. And you might think, well, I did hear she was mean on the set of Gossip Girl, but that was a long time ago. Aren't they adorable? And they're having, you know, all these kids, and then she's friends with Taylor Swift. And, you know, it just all seemed so perfect.
If Justin Baldoni looks familiar, it's because he rose to fame as Rafael Solano on the satirical telenovela Jane the Virgin, and then went viral for his 2017 TED Talk, where he talked about redefining masculinity. Colleen Hoover, the best-selling author of It Ends With Us, with 23 books to her name, has sold over 20 million copies. At one point, Hoover expressed support for Blake Lively in her Instagram stories, but those posts are no longer available. Taylor Swift, one-time besties with Blake Lively, and Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool and Wolverine co-star Hugh Jackman. Then there's the publicists and crisis managers representing their clients. Producers, lawyers, agents, even Disney, which owns Marvel Studios, has been ensnared in this case.
This is kind of like the Titanic of Hollywood scandals, in which careers could actually be destroyed. It could literally sink these careers. And it's interesting because at first it seemed like they were all getting along. And it seemed in the beginning they were fine. And then about a month or two into filming, it became not fun. What do you think happened?
It's really clear from the outset that these two as a couple were going to dominate him. And perhaps he just was naive as to his role or his importance in the process.
In the film, Blake Lively stars as Lily Bloom. Justin Baldoni, her co-star, as well as the producer and director of the movie, plays Ryle Kincaid, her abusive romantic partner. Pre-production for the movie began in March 2023. Filming started in May 2023, but was paused a month later due to the writer's strike in Hollywood. The production picked back up in early 2024, but almost from the very beginning, there were reportedly issues on set, with tensions rising over accusations of intimidation and fat shaming, as well as a struggle for creative control between Lively and Baldoni. According to Baldoni's lawsuit, Blake allegedly asserted her creativity early on, rewriting the famous rooftop scene and then inviting Baldoni to her Tribeca apartment to discuss it, where Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds just happened to pop by and reportedly say how much they loved Blake's rewritten scene. Justin says he capitulated and adopted the rewritten scene, but acknowledged in a text to Lively he would have used the scene either way, even without Reynolds or Swift's input. Baldoni's lawsuit states Baldoni felt obliged to text Lively to say that he had liked her pages and hadn't needed Reynolds and her mega celebrity friend to pressure him. Lively responded that the two were her dragons, and she referred to herself as Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. According to Baldoni's lawsuit, this was not the only confrontation at Lively's apartment. Amid rising tension on set, Baldoni claims a meeting was called by Lively with him and other team members, including Oscar-nominated producer Todd Black, who Sony Pictures and Lively had asked to join the production. At that meeting, Baldoni says Reynolds exploded over Lively's allegations of fat shaming. When Baldoni tried to defend himself, he claims the outburst worsened. Later, Baldoni claims the Oscar-nominated producer was in shock and told him he'd never seen anything like that in the 40 years he'd been in the business. Lively alleges in her lawsuit that Baldoni cast a close friend to play the role of Lively's doctor, who is featured in the birthing scene. The lawsuit also claims that Baldoni failed in meeting film industry standards while filming nude scenes, and Lively felt forced into a compromise that she would be naked from below the chest down. Baldoni disputes those claims in his amended lawsuit, detailing the clothes he said Lively was wearing: black briefs and a pregnancy suit, as well as a hospital gown. All of this is alleged to be happening during production by the summer, just in time for the marketing push of the film. The behind-the-scenes drama explodes into the limelight. August 6th, the film's premiere in New York. It was a star-studded affair. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, center stage on the red carpet, along with Reynolds' Deadpool and Wolverine co-star Hugh Jackman, and Lively's co-stars Brandon Sklenar and Jenny Slate. But no Justin Baldoni.
What happened at that premiere? Because I have never seen anything like that.
Well, here's this big night. It's the film's premiere. And on the red carpet, you have Ryan, you have Blake, and then you have Justin, who's stuck in the basement, apparently. He claims he was kept away from the red carpet.
It was only after the other stars walked the red carpet that Baldoni appeared, keeping a low profile on what should have been a big personal night for the actor, director, producer. Fans also start to notice that Blake Lively, several other cast members, and Colleen Hoover have unfollowed Baldoni on Instagram. On August 9th, the film debuts at the box office with a massive opening weekend, $80 million worldwide. But by now, Blake Lively is getting called out for promoting her own products, including her hair care line and alcoholic drinks, during the press junket, as well as the tone-deaf Grab Your Girlfriends and Wear Your Florals marketing campaign for a film about domestic violence. Around the time of the film's debut, Blake Lively admits that it was her husband, Ryan Reynolds, who rewrote the iconic rooftop scene. On August 13th, Justin Baldoni hires PR crisis manager Melissa Nathan to work with his PR team, led by Jennifer Abel. Texts revealed later in the lawsuits and in the New York Times appear to show Nathan and Abel plotting against Blake Lively. So let's talk about the PR, the battle of the PR teams.
Yeah.
You've got Blake and Ryan on one side with Leslie Sloan, and you've got Justin Baldoni with Jennifer Abel and Melissa Nathan.
Titans. They are titans in Hollywood. And people don't really realize with Hollywood, when we see things going on, there's a whole machine behind them. And those machines are headed by people who have been in Hollywood for a long time and wield a lot of power. And so basically you have these two big PR machines going at it.
Criticism of Blake Lively continues to swirl in the media during the press tour, with fans accusing the actress of not taking the film's subject matter seriously enough. On August 20th, nearly 2 weeks after the film's debut, Brandon Sklenar, one of the stars in the film, appears to side with Blake Lively in a social media post saying, quote, vilifying the women who put so much of their heart and soul into making this film because they believe so strongly in this message seems counterproductive and detracts from what this film is about.
Straight ahead, Blake. We're in the center, please.
December 20th, after months of speculation and rumors chipping away at her image, Blake Lively files a complaint against Justin Baldoni with the California Civil Rights Department, accusing him of disturbing and unprofessional behavior on the set of It Ends With Us, behavior that led to a hostile work environment.
Blake Lively's complaint is incredibly serious. So first, she says that she was a victim of sexual harassment on that movie set and during that production. And a lot of people think, oh, a romantic film, they're intimate, there's intimacy scenes. Don't forget, that is a workplace. It is the same kind of workplace as it is in an office. And for him, not only as the co-star, but the director of the film, a producer of the film, his production company, Wayfair Studios, was producing the film. That created a power imbalance. Instead of going public and immediately telling everybody what was going on, she tried to work this out behind the scenes. She claims that Justin Baldoni and his team of a PR specialist, a crisis management expert, the production company, they worked to discredit her in the media and online, that there was a fear that she could come forward with her allegations.
Blake files the big complaint against Justin Baldoni. Were you surprised at the details?
I was very surprised by the whole thing. This was some kind of weird civil complaint where nobody would ever look at it. And yes, I was surprised by the details of it because what it set out to show was that what was just a minor story in the summer saying, oh, Blake Lively's marketed this movie in a way that feels a bit tone deaf and rubbish. She then says, no, that was evidence of a global campaign by these named people, and they seeded it. They used, bots. They used fake accounts on Twitter.
Hollywood turned against Justin Baldoni.
The next day, the New York Times publishes a scathing article detailing Blake Lively's allegations along with private messages that appear to show a smear campaign engineered by Team Baldoni against Lively. The article sends shockwaves through Hollywood, and Baldoni is dropped from his talent agency, William Morris Endeavor. New Year's Eve 2024, Justin Baldoni files a lawsuit against the New York Times, claiming that the media outlet cherry-picked texts to mislead the audience. And Blake Lively files a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, his production company, Wayfair Studios, his PR team, and others, claiming that Baldoni and Wayfair orchestrated a public retaliatory attack to discredit and silence her for speaking out about the hostile environment on the set of the film.
There's a good point that Blake Lively's team makes that at some point during the course of this conflict, Justin Baldoni and Wayfair had agreed to a certain set of demands that she had met before she returned to set. And those demands were characteristic of a victim of sexual harassment. However, Justin Baldoni's argument is hey, we just agreed to whatever we needed to agree to get this movie back rolling. She was pressuring us. So it'll be interesting to see how she can try to prove sexual harassment and retaliation.
Early January 2025, Baldoni's legal team accuses Ryan Reynolds of making fun of Justin Baldoni with the Deadpool and Wolverine character Nicepool, which fans say is a caricature of Baldoni. Baldoni's lawyers reportedly demand Disney and Marvel to preserve any documents pertaining to Nicepool's development. On January 16th, we see that Baldoni has his own version of events.
And he came with receipts.
Baldoni files a countersuit against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for $400 million. The lawsuit, which also targets Lively's PR woman, Leslie Sloan, and her company, paints a very different picture of what he says went on the set of It Ends With Us.
He said, whoa, 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 not so fast. Not only did I not engage in any form of sexual harassment on that set, I will show to you through text messages, through video evidence, that there is a lot more to this story. And not only did Blake Lively defame me and weaponize false allegations against me because he believes that this was an effort by her to take control over the film, to take control over writing the film and producing the film, but also that she conspired with the New York Times to publish a hit piece against him right after she filed her initial complaint. She is the one who is becoming inappropriate with me. She was the one who was making personal comments. He has provided a lot of context to a lot of the allegations she's put forward. He also claimed that because of the power dynamic, Blake Lively, major star, married to Ryan Reynolds, major A-list star, friends with Taylor Swift, arguably the biggest pop star we have ever seen, that she used these individuals and this power and this influence to get her way, and that if he didn't do what she wanted, she would leave the movie. And his argument is, I had no choice. My hands were tied. I had to agree to whatever she wanted, even agreeing to things that never even happened because I wanted this movie to go forward and I didn't want to be hurt in the process.
On February 1st, Baldoni and his team published their entire lawsuit on thelawsuitinfo.com, as well as their version of a timeline of events, including texts and video dating as far back as January 2019. Days later, the judge warns Team Lively and Team Baldoni to rein in the PR teams and stop litigating the case in the media. The next day, Baldoni reveals notes from a meeting with an intimacy coordinator on the set, a meeting that Blake Lively allegedly skipped. He also reveals screenshots that appear to be texts between him and Lively, where he offers to set up time for her to meet with the intimacy coordinator. On February 19th, Lively files an amended complaint against Baldoni, alleging there's additional evidence and corroboration to her original claims. And on May 8th, Blake Lively's lawyer, Mike Gottlieb, speaks to People magazine, confirming that the actress will indeed testify in the upcoming trial, and suggesting that the claims against her husband, Ryan Reynolds, are frivolous. Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, pushed back in a statement to People, saying, quote, Ryan's involvement is very well documented. Was Disney actually complicit in Ryan using shareholder revenues to further a personal grudge? Unquote. But it doesn't end there. On June 9th, the judge, in a surprising move, dismissed Baldoni's lawsuit against Blake Lively and her team, as well as the defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. Blake Lively's lawyer, Michael Gottlieb, told CNN she is determined to see her claims through and to pursue them to have a full public accountability of what she's alleged happened to her.
Motions to dismiss happen all the time. They're granted all the time. But in a high-profile case like this, when there's so much at stake, when you have these kinds of claims, to have it dismissed at the very introductory stage, it is a little surprising. Basically, what the court said was, even if I take every allegation from Justin Baldoni as true in his complaint, it doesn't match up to what he's claiming. It doesn't match up to the laws. It's not extortion. It's not defamation. It's not false light. It's not breach of implied contract. In terms of defamation, the big thing there was they said Blake Lively, all of her statements that she made against Justin Baldoni were within her complaint. Those are protected. The New York Times, there's a fair reporting privilege. They're protected.
Baldoni, however, is not done fighting. His lawyer telling TMZ Live that they would proceed with the case and show there was no sexual harassment and no smear campaign.
He can appeal, and he probably will appeal. Justin Baldoni does have the option to refile several of the charges in this case. Tortious interference, breach of implied contract, those could be amended and refiled, and the court says there's a possibility that there's actually a legal contract between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's production company, Wayfair. They may be able to show there's a contract between Justin Baldoni and his talent agency, and Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively interfered with that.
The trial is now set for March of next year, with depositions scheduled for August of 2025, which could include testimony from all of the players involved. Earlier this year, Taylor Swift was called to testify in this case, but that subpoena has since been withdrawn. As of June 2025, the friendship between Blake Lively and Taylor Swift is fractured to the point of being on life support. They have not been seen together in over a year. In a statement released to People magazine, her spokesperson said Taylor Swift never set foot on the set of this movie. She was not involved in any casting or creative decisions. The connection Taylor had to this film was permitting the use of one of her songs, My Tears Ricochet. The depositions of all the witnesses are set for August. What do you think we're going to learn at this time?
That deposition could reveal text messages, emails, the call records, and give a much more clear timeline, like chronologically, of what really happened.
While we wait for this to play out in court, reputations for all of the major players are now at stake.
This has been a PR mess. You know, it's interesting. For Blake Lively, she, I believe, filed her lawsuit to reverse the narrative that had been made about her, right? She had received all of this negative press and all of this negative attention on social media when It Ends With Us was premiering. And now you come to find out, based on her allegations, she says this was an orchestrated smear campaign against her, and she was actually the victim of sexual harassment. Usually, public sentiment would be in her favor. And sure, there are people who support her, there are celebrities who support her, but what you are seeing, particularly after she filed her lawsuit and Justin Baldoni fought back and sued her in the New York Times, you've seen a reverse. You've seen people turning on her. And because he's introduced so much evidence during the course of this litigation, even before we even go to a trial, whether it's text messages or behind the scenes footage, there are people who are now skeptical of Blake Lively's claims. And you wonder if her initiating this legal action actually hurt her reputation. The majority of his claims are thrown out. And even if she's successful at trial, is that really going to change people's perception of Blake Lively?
So what is the best case scenario on how this ends?
Truthfully, the best case scenario for both of them would be to settle. They are doing damage to their brands. Public opinion is very important. Are you team Justin? Are you team Blake? And right down the middle, somewhere is where we're going to have to settle this in the court of law.
At the heart of it is the question of whether this person, Blake Lively, who we all have this parasocial relationship with, we all think we know her, we don't, whether this person is a really terrible human being who has taken a movie off someone, pushed him around. Is that really who this person is behind closed doors? That's what's killing everyone.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.